Welcome everyone to our conversation. We're diving into a discussion about the symposium held by the USC US China Institute back in Shanghai 2015, featuring Ronnie Chan.
I'm excited about this topic. So, Ronnie Chan, a notable global business and civic leader, really gives us a window into US China relations, right?
Absolutely. His presence is significant. At that time, after market shocks, Xi's visit, the CCP's fifth plenum, we see the global tensions intersecting with cross-strait ties and the impending elections in Taiwan and the US.
Yeah, it's almost like the stage was being set on multiple fronts. The event encapsulated a historic moment.
Right, and one of the really interesting segments was his take on China's growing military might, like why is China even having an aircraft carrier?
Yep.
That question opens up a lot of strategic insights.
Oh, definitely. It's like understanding that move isn't just about power projection. It touches on energy needs and even global alliances.
Exactly. It's like China is balancing its domestic challenges and global ambitions. For instance, the symposium touched on how energy vulnerabilities and the need for secure trade routes might drive such decisions.
I found that really intriguing. But don't you think the emphasis on an aircraft carrier might sometimes overshadow other pressing issues at the time?
That's a good point. While the aircraft carrier plays a strategic role, Ronnie Chan also delved into other topics like why China votes with Iran or the possibility of China joining TPP. It reflects a broader, complex foreign policy, not just military might.
Right. It's like he's saying each of these decisions isn't isolated, but is part of a mosaic of strategic choices.
Yes, indeed, and his discussion on cross-strait ties was particularly compelling. Using the backdrop of Taiwan's electoral context, he highlighted how US policies and Chinese initiatives have long influenced Taiwan's politics.
And that shows how interdependent these relationships are. It's not just about borders, but about deep, underlying economic and political currents.
Exactly. Ronnie Chan's perspective offers a nuanced view that emphasizes the balance of economic interests with geopolitical strategies. For example,
Yeah.
his remarks on market shocks were a reminder that economic tremors can ripple into security decisions.
That raises an interesting question. Do you think his focus on market dynamics might sometimes be too optimistic about the stabilizing role of economics in international conflicts?
I see your point, and it is a bit of a debate. On one hand, acknowledging market forces gives credit to the economic interdependence that tethers nations together. But on the other hand, it might understate the potential for these forces to turn volatile when crises hit.
Right, like sometimes economic ties can actually exacerbate tensions if partners are forced into competitive stances.
Yes, and that's why his commentary on energy needs was so layered.
Yep.
It wasn't just a discussion about energy security, but also about how energy constraints might push China to form alliances, even voting with Iran at times, to secure its resources.
It's almost like these decisions are interconnected. One move in one sphere definitely influences another, like dominoes.
Absolutely, exactly. And then there's the dialogue about China possibly joining TPP. That, on its face, seems surprising, but when you consider it, it's a reflection of how China was at the crossroads of forging new economic pathways while managing its traditional alliances.
Yeah, that was quite a forward thinking question. It challenges the assumption that China's foreign policy is purely state driven, without any room for economic integration and trade liberalization.
Right, exactly. It's like a balancing act between asserting territorial and strategic autonomy and integrating into global economic frameworks. Ronnie Chan capitalizes on that fine line in his reflections.
And speaking of integrations, his ties with institutions like Asia Society and USC show how intertwined business, education, and political discourse can be.
Definitely, it's almost like there's a global network at play. His roles at Hanglong Properties, the Morningside Group, and various think tanks, they represent how leadership can bridge different sectors.
Yeah, he really embodies a multidimensional approach to diplomacy, doesn't he?
Certainly, and what's interesting is how his family's philanthropic work supports education and preserves heritage. It shows a commitment to building long-term societal foundations.
Absolutely. These cultural and educational investments often are the soft power tools that underlie hard geopolitical strategies.
Exactly. And it's also a reminder that discussions around US China relations, and by extension Taiwan's role, aren't just about military might or economic strength, they're also about cultural exchange and long term societal engagement.
I like how that perspective shifts the narrative from conflict to collaboration in some ways.
Yeah. Although one could challenge respectfully that while this holistic view is ideal, the practical complexities on the ground often lead to more frictions. It's
True.
like reality rarely mimics ideal strategies.
Exactly. There's always a tension, the ideal versus the real. And sometimes it seems like economic interdependence isn't enough to overcome deep rooted political differences.
Yes, and that's where his forward looking questions, like China joining TPP, become even more fascinating. It suggests potential for change, maybe a shift in global economic alignments that could, in theory, ease some frictions.
Though it's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? Such shifts require enormous structural changes and mutual trust among countries.
Absolutely, and it's like betting on the future trajectory of global governance. Ronnie Chan's insights encourage us to think beyond the immediate crises and consider long-term evolution in US, China, and cross-strait relations.
You know, it's fascinating how historical moments, like that symposium, give us the chance to reflect on these broader themes. It really underscores the multi layered nature of international relations.
Definitely. And when you listen closely, there's an underlying narrative about adaptation and, well, negotiation in a
Yep.
rapidly shifting global landscape. His words invite us to question how much these large scale trends can be managed through diplomacy versus sheer power politics.
Right? And considering all these layers, can we really separate economic interests from strategic military decisions? They're so deeply intertwined.
Exactly. That's the crux of it. Economic security, military power, and cultural diplomacy each feeds into the other. Ronnie Chan's contributions at the symposium serve as a mirror reflecting all these intertwined challenges.
And it's a discussion that still feels very relevant today, especially with how fast the global landscape is evolving.
Absolutely. It's like his reflections continue to shape debates on US China relations and beyond. His multifaceted approach challenges us to think in terms of both immediate impacts and long term strategic shifts.
I find it truly inspiring how one symposium can spark so many diverse and interconnected conversations.
It really is. And it reminds us that in global discourse, every piece of dialogue, be it on aircraft carriers, energy needs, or trade pacts, tells a part of a much bigger story.
Well said, and it definitely leaves us with plenty to ponder about the future of international relations.
Indeed, thanks for this engaging discussion. It's always a pleasure to break down these complex topics together.
My pleasure. Looking forward to our next deep dive into another fascinating subject.